So we have a $1,000 giveaway from Prize Picks. They're giving 5 of us a chance to win $1,000. All you have to do is click the link in the description down below to sign up for a chance to be selected to make a 5-pick flex to win $1,000. Use my promo code microphone to get up to a $100 deposit match on Prize Picks. Now let's get to the video. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The last time I made a video for you guys, we brought up the fact that LeBron James quite literally threatened retirement once the Denver Nuggets swept the Los Angeles Lakers.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward. But I don't know. I had a lot to think about, to be honest. And just for me personally, going forward with the game of basketball, I had a lot to think about.
There's a lot of narratives following this. There's a lot of people trying to pick apart what LeBron James is suggesting, and the top suggestion was the fact that LeBron James is definitely going to return. He's just telling the Los Angeles Lakers that, hey, you better get me Kyrie Irving at this point. Otherwise, I'm not going to return to a team that is not competitive. Now, this got really interesting because Rob Pelinka, the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers, and LeBron James are at odds with one another about the way that the Los Angeles Lakers should be constructed. And if you don't believe me, Rob Pelinka quite literally suggested the opposite idea from what the LeBron James theory is. Bear in mind, when LeBron James threatened retirement, what a lot of fans and analysts are hypothesizing is he wants Rob Pelinka to get Kyrie Irving. It's not a for sure fact. Now, this is what Rob Pelinka said during exit interviews.
I think, after the trade deadline, we had one of the top records in the league. I think keeping that continuity is going to be very important. We ultimately got knocked out by a team that has great continuity. They've got a group of players that have been together for several seasons, and it shows in the way they play. But that's a high priority for us.
So the Los Angeles Lakers have a lot of big decisions coming up. I mean, the choice is very simple. You could either keep Austin Reeves and get yourself a max contract player like Kyrie Irving, and then surround those players with a bunch of scrubs such as Taco Fall, DeAndre Jordan, maybe bring back Wayne Ellington. I mean, players that are veteran minimum contract players on your roster. Or you could choose to go about this in a different way, the way that the Los Angeles Lakers built this team at the trade deadline. You could retain Austin Reeves. You could re-sign Rui Hachimura. You could accept Malik Beasley's team option, which, by the way, I really think they should because that contract is a steal in my opinion. You could bring back Mo Bamba, and maybe you could even bring back D'Angelo Russell, even though the most recent memory of D'Angelo Russell for the Los Angeles Lakers was him not performing very well in the Western Conference Finals. And to be honest, I do think there were some red flags during the Western Conference Finals with D'Angelo Russell. Primarily the rumor that the Lakers were worried about moving him to the bench, and that could potentially alienate D'Angelo Russell and him potentially re-signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. And it seems like since then, we actually got verification on this supposed rumor. Now, D'Angelo Russell didn't complain about being moved to a reserve role for Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals, but he also didn't appear to support the decision. Darvin Ham made the change in hopes of sparking the Lakers, who were trailing 3-0 in the series. Russell saw just 15 minutes off the bench in the final game, scoring 4 points with 2 rebounds and 2 assists, as LA was swept out of the playoffs.
I mean, it was tough. It was tough to agree with it, obviously, but in a short period of time to not become a distraction to your teammates and to everybody else that's preparing just like you to get the one goal done, which is win. I knew that was where, you have to be professional. You can't be a distraction at this point of the season and things like that. So that's kind of how I went about it. I wanted to be professional and try to dominate my minutes when there were minutes for me.
Respectfully, D'Angelo Russell didn't really do much dominating, but regardless, at the end of the day, I think I've mentioned this multiple times on this channel, the playoffs are pretty much a chess match between 2 opposing head coaches, which is why Celtics fans are really upset at Joe Mazzulla, because it seemed like he mismanaged a lot of key periods for the Boston Celtics, not only in the series versus the Miami Heat, but in the series versus the Philadelphia 76ers as well. Now, in a vacuum, I do think D'Angelo Russell resulted in a net positive for the Los Angeles Lakers, but of course the Lakers would be silly not to do everything they possibly could to improve this roster, and there are upgrades from D'Angelo Russell. So what's the Lakers' plan so far? Well, according to Mark Medina, who was at the Lakers exit meetings, they made it clear that their priority is to try to maximize continuity, which is retain most if not all of their free agents that they have coming up, which include Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and D'Angelo Russell, versus trying to make this big splash splash like a Kyrie Irving signing or a Trae Young trade. Knowing how LeBron James is, he's always about going all in, and I think the Lakers are too, but it's about how you go about it. Here's the thing, man. I don't remember the last time a team that had a big three that was assembled in free agency was able to win an NBA championship. I mean, unless if I am wrong, I guess the Miami Heat from 2013. I mean, if you want to call the Kevin Durant Golden State Warriors that, then I guess you can. But the Golden State Warriors developed their talent and then they added Kevin Durant. I think that's a little different. The Miami Heat Big Three were quite literally assembled in an offseason. Or you could just say they built a super team around Dwayne Wade, however you want to go about it as. In terms of Kyrie Irving's situation, this is going to be a lot of fun to cover this summer. Originally, it was thought that he had a handshake agreement with the Dallas Mavericks on a 4-year max contract. Well, it seems like that isn't the case. Kyrie Irving does not have a handshake agreement with the Dallas Mavericks on a 4-year max contract. With all due respect, even if he does have a handshake agreement with the Dallas Mavericks on a 4-year max contract, he could still tell the Mavericks to go screw themselves and then decide to sign with another team. Until he puts pen to paper, whether or not he has a handshake agreement with the team or not is irrelevant, especially a player that is notorious for doing this.
Are you going to leave us like LeBron left us?
It's a great question. No.
Or if that's not enough, what about this?
You guys will have me back. I plan on re-signing here next year.
Boom!
So, I appreciate it.
Or what about the Brooklyn Nets when he said he's not going to leave Kevin Durant high and dry in Brooklyn? Yeah, with all due respect, I don't think a handshake agreement with Kyrie Irving means very much, respectfully. Even if Kyrie Irving wanted to go to the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the means that the Lakers could pursue Kyrie Irving is a sign and trade with D'Angelo Russell. But it seems like the Dallas Mavericks don't really want to help the Los Angeles Lakers in this instance. According to Yahoo Sports, the Mavericks have no interest in an Irving sign and trade with the Lakers that brings back D'Angelo Russell. This is coming to us from Mark Stein, who says a popular topic all week in the wake of Denver sweeping the Los Angeles Lakers out of the Western Conference Finals was the notion that LA could emerge as a potential sign and trade destination for Dallas's free agent to be Kyrie Irving. While we await a clear indication about the Lakers' intentions here, with no verifiable signal to date that pursuing Irving is among their offseason priorities, league sources say that the Mavericks would have no interest in a sign and trade with the Lakers that features D'Angelo Russell as the primary Dallas-bound player. All indications are that the Mavericks remain intent on re-signing Kyrie Irving, which I want to know, Maverick fans, how would you feel about that? Do you prefer bringing in D'Angelo Russell and some additional pieces around Luka Doncic and moving on from Kyrie Irving, especially given the sample size of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving not being successful? Or would you rather try to run it back with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic? Let me know in the comment section. But for the most part, it seems like the Lakers are claiming that this is not the path that they want to go in. As a matter of fact, it seems like the Lakers would prefer to use D'Angelo Russell in a sign and trade, potentially for Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet is a dream scenario for Laker fans because one, his contract is a steal, and two, the Toronto Raptors may be willing to take less in return for Fred VanVleet because he has the opportunity to decline his player option in 2024, which he probably will, and hit the open market. Whenever there's a player in a situation like that, where he's essentially a one-year rental at this point, they would probably be more willing to take on a sign and trade with D'Angelo Russell and not ask for as many assets in return. And to be honest, I think Fred VanVleet would be perfect. I mean, he would fit along LeBron James and Anthony Davis perfectly. He would be significantly cheaper than a potential max contract offer for D'Angelo Russell, which, by the way, is what D'Angelo Russell is seeking. I think this is one of the more realistic trades that the Los Angeles Lakers could make, and I'm sure they could also package some future picks in addition to D'Angelo Russell to make this happen. It's definitely more realistic than Trae Young, and it definitely gives the Lakers much more freedom to add additional pieces around LeBron James and Anthony Davis and potentially Fred VanVleet while retaining Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves. Speaking of Austin Reeves, what are the Lakers going to do to try to retain him? Well, apparently the San Antonio Spurs are very interested in poaching away Austin Reeves from the Lakers. And Austin Reeves is rumored to potentially command anything up to $100 million million. Now, $100 million is insane, by the way. I want you to understand that. This is what a $100 million contract for Reeves would look like. In year 1, it would be $12.5 million. In year 2, it would be $12.5 million. And then in year 3 and 4, he'd be getting paid $37.5 million each year. By then, LeBron James is probably not going to be a Laker anymore. So the Lakers would probably get screwed for the last 2 years of that deal, especially if Austin Reeves is just a really good role player and not necessarily a future piece for the Lakers moving forward, which we're gonna have to wait and see. I think he's in a very similar situation as Jordan Poole was in during the Golden State Warriors championship run. How's he going to react once he does get that big payday? We're gonna have to wait and see. He could eventually develop his game even further and become better, or he could take a step back like Poole did. There's not really a way to tell, if we're being honest. Obviously, once you start paying a player more, you're gonna expect more from him, which means there's gonna be significantly more pressure on that player to fulfill the value of that contract. In regards to Austin Reeves, it seems like he wants to stay because he said this.
It feels like a home for me, basically. The way the fans support me, you know, the players, coaching staff, front office. This is definitely somewhere I want to be.
And then even furthermore, the Lakers are willing to match any offer for Austin Reeves, so it should be very interesting. A lot about the Lakers' future is very much up in the air, and there's a myriad of ways that they could go about fixing this team. Let me know in the comment section down below. Should they go all in for a player like Kyrie Irving? Should they try to swing a trade for Fred VanVleet? Should they retain D'Angelo Russell? Do you think there's a point where they should say, hey, we're not going to match Austin Reeves' contract if it's going for $100 million? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.